Welcome to Blinkers Off with your hosts, Jared Welch and Aaron Halterman.
What is up? What is up? I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Halterman. It is Thursday, December 12th, and this is Blinkers Off. What's up, man?
What is up? How's it going, everybody? Good to be back for another week. We got Kentucky Derby prep races to talk about. That's always fun. A couple of fun ones in one way or another. So that'll be good.
Yeah, we're gonna. I mean, I don't know. We'll talk about the Remington one, but at least at Los Al, I mean, you've got a couple Baffert horses that were in the juvenile, and maybe who knows, maybe his best. We'll find out, I guess, as it comes. So the Futurity's always been a race that he tends to run some of his better ones in. So, you, my friend, as a number one pick holder, is going to have to start having some decisions made in terms of, especially if Gaming goes and wins this thing and does it pretty impressively. You're going to be like, well, I mean, is it Barnes or is it Gaming? Who do you going with the top pick?
Definitely not Barnes. I'm going to go Citizen Bull unless Gaming runs a really, really good race. I'm going to go Gaming. So I'll take the mystery out of it. It'll be one of those two.
Wow, no Barnes at all for you, huh?
No. With the number one overall pick, no.
See, that's just it, right? That when you have the number one pick, that's the pressure that comes with that, right? Because I understand what you're saying, but like if you're sitting there with the fourth pick or the third pick or whatever, you're like, yeah, Barnes falls to me for that's fine, because there's no pressure with that pick. But with the one, a horse that's just be innovator basically, it's like, okay, what do I do? It's a lot of because when you make a pick like that, especially when Gaming, let's just say he wins Los Al, it's like, okay, this is a stakes winner, this is a Breeders' Cup, runner up, you know what I mean, versus a horse that has never ran in the stakes.
Yeah, definitely. I think you got to take established horses in this thing. I've learned that the hard way over the last couple of years. So, look, with the number one pick, I won't be very creative. It's going to be one or the other. If Gaming shows up in this race we're going to talk about in a minute and runs a fantastic race, I'm probably taking him. And if he doesn't, I'm taking Citizen Bull. It's pretty simple.
Yeah. That's it, right? Let the horse make the decision for you. So,
yep.
I like it. Speaking of, we'll talk a little bit about last weekend, and I mentioned Innovator and Barnes, that ran, and then Innovator, we laughed about, hey, he's coming back off, what was like 9 or 10 days. Like, well, I mean, Lucas clearly feels like he can win this thing, and it looks like he should. And then what does he do? He gets blasted by Kel's Angel, gets beat by 6, and Peter Miller brings the horse in and just beats the hell out of Innovator. Was that more of a Innovator ran poorly? Was that more of just a weird, this horse kind of freaked? How did you kind of handle that? And does that mean anything for you for Barnes? Like maybe Barnes isn't as good as maybe advertised.
No, it means nothing about Barnes. I think with the Innovator, for me, he kind of regressed back to what he had been running. And then, of course, running back on 9 days is a big problem, but you don't see very often, especially at a different track. But and then the other part of it is I think that Kel's Angel, he looked pretty good. I think is going to be a pretty nice horse. Looked decent coming into the race and just was trying dirt for the first time. So, no, as far as Barnes goes, Innovator could have ran last by 20. I don't really care about that as much. But as far as that race goes, it just Innovator didn't run as well, and Kel's Angel showed up with a big race.
Yeah, I don't. That race just from jump felt weird. Just I don't know. Like Innovators, like that's the other thing too. It's Innovator and it's Dwayne, so don't worry about it. The losing, that horse will run 6 times before May. So
Yep.
And running all the big ones. So as long as that horse is healthy, I think he just ran the horse back in 9 days. He faced nearly beat Barnes. That was all he needed in his eyes to be like, okay, we're gonna run this horse in every opportunity we can. So I expect to see him a lot more this year at Oaklawn. How about Remsen in the Remsen with Poster, the turf horse coming over and running well? That was my pick, and I'd mentioned like if this horse runs like he had been running on the turf, then this horse will be pretty tough. I mean, yeah, like he won. I don't know what you know, that this doesn't, like we talked about in the preview, like, hey, the Remington last year, look at that, you know, look at these horses who can, like, not sure if we're gonna see that again this time.
He looked like when he turned for home, he was going to put on a show. And I kind of thought to myself, ooh, this may be pretty good. The wheels kind of came off. Now, did they come off because he was going a mile and an eighth and he got a little tired for the first time, but he'll be okay? Did he come off? Did it come off because he just didn't really want to go that far? Is he just not that good? I mean, it's all up in the air. You know, you take the race for what it is. It wasn't bad, obviously, but it wasn't great. And he really started to slow down. So, I will say this, he displayed in that race that he has ability, like, because you can't make a move like that if you don't have ability.
Yeah.
I think with him, it's going to be okay. Where exactly can we put him where he shows his best? I don't quite know if that's in a Derby prep race or not, past this one, but he does have a little bit of ability, and he definitely he was able to kind of show it.
Well, he's got 10 points, so I mean, he's on the leaderboard, and you know, with that kind of performance, I imagine we'll see him at least give it one more go, and we'll see. You know, you never know. Sometimes with these trainers, you know, like sometimes they take that for, like, we need, like, let's just try to squeeze out as many points as we can and try to sneak in the gate. And then other times it's like, okay, well, we won that, but the next one didn't go so well, so okay, you know, we'll back off. So you never know. That, I think this next start will be kind of tell the tale.
For sure. And I, you know, with it being Owen Hardy, I don't really know where exactly he'll go with him next. I haven't looked into it, but you think about anything's on the table. But yeah, look, I think he really kind of has shown, look, we got a good horse here. We can do some things with him, and it'll just be a matter of, you know, as we get a little bit tougher competition, what does he look like against that kind of group?
Yeah, Shoddy says that he's maybe go the Withers route. I mean, you imagine probably go just stay out there, or, you know, just...
Yeah, I was thinking there. You know, he might be a good fit for like the Tampa races if they wanted to do that. Like, that's kind of how I viewed him. So yeah, I would go to the Withers. Probably not going to face that good of a field if you go there, and you might be able to get another one, and then you're kind of sort of in the race at that time, and so that'd be a good plan.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice. He's a good horse to have because you can run on both surfaces at this point, and he's ran well. You got to be careful sometimes with those. Like, you've seen it before where they try maybe a little too many times on the dirt, and then maybe the horse loses that form just altogether. So you got, you know, I think, you know, you kind of have, like, give it another race or two, but really need to start honing in. You know, sometimes it works, but it feels like a lot of times, you know, the horse never really regains that form they had after, like, trying a surface that maybe is not the preferred surface.
Yeah, and you're right. You got to be careful when it comes to that. You can't, you know, you can get away with it a time or two. You can't do it over and over. They will kind of lose that form. And, you know, I think, like I said, I think the next race will really tell the tale. If you run him in a race like the Withers and he wins, you've kind of forced your hand, right? You kind of have to try it and go down that path as far as he can take you, basically. So I think that's kind of really, in a way, what the Remington win did. He kind of like, well, if we can make it, we got to try to make it.
Yep, I agree. And, you know, that field was not good. You know, Kiewit was kind of the quote unquote headliner, and I mean,
didn't run.
No, didn't run. So it's like, yeah, you won the race, but we've like, again, Remington last year was great, very formful. This a lot of years it's not, and so we'll find out which one of those holds true. But let's get into some racing for this weekend, because the racing is definitely getting more exciting as we go along this the Derby Trail. We're going to give picks for the $300,000 Remington Springboard Mile, one of Halterman's favorite races. It'll be running on Friday night, and then we're gonna give the $200,000, or gonna look at the $200,000 Los Al Futurity. Both of these are Kentucky Derby. Eventually, I will get over the Breeders' Cup at some point.
Right.
The 2025, which, by the way, when I wrote that, I even had it because I get it all set up, and I had the headline or the pod title, and then the article or the description. And I had 2024 for the Kentucky Derby, because it just, like, 2025 just doesn't feel, I don't know, I still feel like it should be. It's weird. Anyways, the 2025 Kentucky Derby. Let's go. Yeah, I don't know why 2025 feels like a lifetime away.
20 days.
Yeah.
Or-
Getting excited for Christmas, Alterman?
Oh, yeah. Can't wait.
Yeah. You being good?
Oh, yeah. Really good. Really good.
Let me tell you, I have been killing the Elf on the Shelf game this year so far.
All right. Very good.
And let me tell you, if there's any parents out there that are listening that have do the nightly Elf on the Shelf, it is a freaking chore, man. Like you. And I mean, it depends on if you like if you want to. If sometimes it's like, oh, I'm gonna mail this one in. It's just gonna be sitting up on a like a top shelf or something. You know what I mean? Just be like, oh. But other times, and a lot of times, it's very. Like the other night, he had, I should say, Chief did this. This is their name. He was in the bathtub with water on a boat fishing.
That's good.
It's good.
That's very good. Yeah.
And the bar gets, raises, right? And so it's like, well, Chief, shit, you got to do, if you did that next time, you got to do this. And so, it's like, then you start running out of places. Thankfully, this is our second year, I guess, in this house. And so I've got some things doing, but some opportunity there. But you start to run out of places.
Right. New stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
New things to do. New places. Exactly. Yeah.
But I've got, it by the end, man, you're just like, oh my gosh, really? Then you forget some nights, you wake up and you're like, oh, son of a, I got to get up before the boys get up.
You got what, 12 days, I guess, left of it?
Yeah, he goes back with Santa. So yeah, he comes on December 1st, and I don't make the rules. I don't know. It's just what I was told.
Well, if that's what you're told, you got to do it.
Yeah, there is some so the first night, so that's the thing. The boys obviously are getting older. Cohen's freaking smart and like becoming more like he's like wants to catch, that in the act,
Right.
So
yeah.
The very first night that he came back this year, so he was hanging from the chandelier in the living room, and like it's a whole display thing. And I have a camera, I have a Ring camera in my living room that kind of looks at the camera or the whole living room there and stuff. And so,
right, yeah.
Anyways, next day, the boys see it, blah blah blah. I'm brushing my teeth or something. Cohen comes in, he's got this look on his face, and he's got my phone. He's like, "I saw you with Chief." I was like, "Oh, son of a,"
Well, I was wondering if he was getting to the age where he doesn't believe that. Yeah.
It's one of those things for him that he's so sweet that he wants to believe it, And
Right,
so
yeah.
the logic side of him is like, yeah, this is weird,
Right.
But it helps when you have a little brother or a little sibling, because you're like that magic, you want to keep that going, But
right, yeah.
but no, thankfully the camera didn't catch it only could catch basically my bottom half. And so I was like, I had to come up with this whole, and I was right on the fly too. I was like, I walked out, I heard a noise and I walked out and I saw him and he was hanging like he was about to fall. So I didn't know if I should help. So I went ahead and went up there and helped him. I was like, I went ahead and got him put back up there because I was afraid he's going to fall and hurt himself. And he's like, yeah, that makes sense, And I was like, okay.
So he bought it, but he didn't buy it.
Yeah. So ever since I've been my Ring cameras, you can go through and turn off or whatever, prior to any kind of activity. So that way there's no documentation, but it's you got to they're becoming more and more, curious. Which makes it's honestly, it used to be just oh, whatever. They're not gonna. Oh, Shotty, he knows my password on my phone. He I can't. Probably should change that, honestly.
There you go. Well, that would solve it right there. See.
He tells every neighbor kid what our garage password is. I mean, it's like, dude, you can't tell them that,
They've got parents. And they'll tell their parents, and then what do we do? Yeah.
But anyways, all right. Friday at Remington Park, race number 12, the Remington Springboard Mile. This is a $300,000 race going 1 mile for the 3-year-old or 2-year-olds, I should say, almost 3-year-olds. 10 points to the winner, 10-5, 3-2-1 for your top 5 finishers. And, listen, let's call it what it is. Speed King from Moquette is your favorite at 7-2. This is not the strongest Remington Springboard Mile you've ever seen.
It's the worst, I think.
Yeah, I was trying to sugarcoat it and make it, fluff it up as much as I could, but I'll be real honest with you, dude. I'll be surprised if any one of these horses in this field forget the Derby. Forget the Derby. Is in a prep race for the Derby in, say, March. I just don't think this is a very good field.
Well, I'll put it this way. I kind of sort of was, I might go to the Springboard this year. I'm going to be home, blah, blah, blah. And then the field came out, I think it was last week. I think it was Friday of this time last week came out. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to that. I'm not, I can watch this at home. It is what it is. So I'm not going. Look, I will say this. I do think the number 3 Speed King could be a horse that breaks what you just said, because he has just one race. That race was very good for a debut race. It was a pretty strong field. That was supposed to be a pretty decent race. When I handicapped that race, I thought, yeah, there might be a good horse in here. He won it really easily. So I do think the 3 Speed King, he could be okay. Right? We don't know yet. He might even be a little better than okay. We'll see. The rest of this group is just not great. And there's really no way you can sugarcoat it. Most of them are Oklahoma horses. No offense to Oklahoma horses, but they're not usually going to step up and once they get outside of the Oklahoma circuit, go do something. You have a horse like Dr. Rubin, the 9, took 4 times to break the maiden out in Southern California. Has been running against some decent horses. So you give him credit for that, but you kind of watch the races and go, yeah, okay, he's getting beat by some good ones, but he's not really close to these good ones. That's the problem. I went into it saying, well, hell, he's going to be the class for sure.
Yeah.
And then you watch his replays and you're like, he's not very good. He's not awful. He might break your trend. He might be in a prep in March and April, but he might be 20-1, 30-1, right? So I'm just talking around it.
He was 7-1 in his last 2 maiden special weights.
Exactly. And now he's 6-1, and he'll probably be about 4-1 in the Springboard.
Yeah.
I picked Speed King just because I just don't know. I don't know for sure that he's just not that good. He might be the only one where we could exit the race and say, well, he's not too bad. He also just might be okay and like the rest of them and lose. But I think he has the most upside. So I went with number 3 Speed King. That was a very good race. There's no way around it. You go back and watch it and you're like, okay, that was pretty good from Speed King last time out. But that was 6 furlongs. Now we're going a mile. Breeding says he'll like it, but you don't know until he goes out and tries it. I'll say this. I think if he's good, he'll win, and I don't think it will be that close. But it's just the question of how good is the horse. We still don't know.
You can look at this race 2 different ways. Well, for one, I think, you might be right. As far as it's Moquette, and he's obviously he's had 3-year-olds in the past that he's gotten to the Derby with horses, and probably running some Oakland Southwest or Rebel, even maybe if this horse is any good. So maybe it wouldn't be completely shocking if one of them ran, but it's got to be under 1. It's got to be 1. You look at this race 2 different ways. One, he's the class, which he probably is, or at least could be. Or 2, this is, if he is the class, that means this race isn't all that good, and so I'll take a shot with somebody, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And so I think those are 2 different ways to look at it. You either go single basically with Speed King, or say, well, if he shows what he ran in that debut, then he'll win. If you say otherwise, or think, well, hey, that was at 6 furlongs, Is it stretching out to a mile? I mean, yeah, maybe he can get that, but again, that's a new thing, right? You know, something new for the horse. Maybe that's an opportunity to try to beat him. So, um, I look at it. I'm kind of looking at the latter, you know, just because I like the opportunity to try to get a price, and so I kind of, you know, if this to me wouldn't pick this horse most years, but the 11 Mr. Omaha, who is an Okie bred, but has rattled off 3 in a row, and none of them were close at all, and including last out. They were all at Remington, by the way, and the last out wanted a mile, which is obviously what we're running here, and I thought looked that was a pretty. I mean, this is the horse that had been the last 2, the wins had been on or right off the lead, and this time didn't break at all, stumbled, and then was at the last place, way out of it, and then went by him like they were standing still.
Mm-hmm. I got him second, so I can't. Like, I like that horse. I'm with you. It makes sense. I think you kind of said it in a normal year. Maybe you try to shy away from him a little bit, but I think in this year it makes sense. And listen, I think you might get 3-4 to 1 on the horse. Maybe I don't know how they're going to bet this thing, and he probably, I mean, he probably deserves a long, hard look. I know a lot of people like Jolly Samurai, another horse that's been local, and I think you watch these races. I think Mr. Omaha's a little better, so I chose Mr. Omaha over Jolly Samurai as far as the quote unquote local horses. So I think you're onto something there. I do want to mention the number 1 Cole Battle. 2 races back, he lost to Poster at Keeneland. So there's a little bit of class, quote unquote class there, right? The question mark is, okay, that was on the turf. Then he went to Delta. He won a sprint stakes on the dirt. None of those figures really came back very high. Now we're stretching back out to a mile, and it's on the dirt. I don't know what to make of him, but I think he's another one at that price, 10 to 1. He makes sense.
Yeah. The thing is, like, the one. I mean, it's like he ran against Poster, but at the same time, like you said, it was on the turf. This isn't on. I get that was we've established that Poster can run on both surfaces, but I think we can also establish this as a dirt horse, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cold Battle, because you look at the 2 turf performances and they were not good. And so you're like, well, what is he, or what does that really mean? It's like, okay, great, he was in a race with Poster, but he also finished 7th, beating 6. And so it's hard to kind of. I get what you're saying, but I didn't look too much at that. This definitely does feel like it when you say, like, I mean, it's very clearly like, if it's not the 3, and I'm with you on the 9, by the way. I'll be honest. At first, I had the 9 picked.
Yep.
Because I think the same logic you had, where it's like, okay, coming from out west and been running against better horses, and it's Doug O'Neill, and we kind of seen this song and dance before, and kind of come in like, he's not that good, but these aren't that good either. So this class kind of overtook him. And then the more I looked at it, the horse, and kind of studied the horse, like, I don't really like the horse, though. I just like, you see, even look at the last race where the horse finally broke the maiden, dude. And maybe he pushed through something there, and it turned the page a little bit. But man, he tried to lose that thing. He looked like a winner, and he tried to lose that thing.
That was the one, right? Because you do kind of see through the first 3 races, he didn't win, but it's like he's kind of progressing a little bit. And then you watch that race at Santa Anita, and it's just like, it's not like he's like, whoa, what a race from him.
Yeah, like he finally broke through. It was more like, wow, he held on.
And to be fair, he might be able to do that against this field. That's kind of the flip side of it, right? He might be able to exit this race, and you go, well, the 9 won, and he just wasn't very good, but neither was anybody else. And to be fair, that's kind of what this race was last year as well. You kind of exit the race, you're like, they weren't very good, and I think this feels like it again.
Yeah, I just I don't want to. This race is not exactly super fun.
No.
So I guess we can both establish that this is not a race that we project much coming out of. And I mean, I get, like, you kind of established it in the opening there, if there is one, it's probably Speed King, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, other than that, like this is more of a race that you're just trying to pick the winner. You're not looking at this as hey, like I might pick against this. I might pick against the 3, but man, watch out! That horse might be a danger. Or Mr. Omaha, I'm picking the horse in this race. Really like this horse. No, I just think the horse could probably win here.
Yeah. So there's 55 horses that'll be drafted next week on this show, right? Will any of them will any of those 55 be in this race? Well, I mean, the winner, maybe.
Yeah, I bet the winner will be.
Yeah.
Because you're in the league. So
yeah, I'm not taking these. Listen, to be clear, I didn't take them last year either because it was bad, and I think this is worse. So
we have enough people in ours where someone will. I mean, listen, like especially if Mr. Omaha wins, let's just say, who I think is logical. I mean, it sure as hell ain't going to be me that's picking the horse in it, as far as drafting the horse. So I think it depends on who wins. If it's the 9 or the 3, then I could see maybe the one. I don't know. Maybe one of the Asmusens. If one of the Asmusens won, you could say, okay, well, it's Asmussen, whatever. So like, I'll take a shot with that in the 5th round, So I don't think it's impossible that a horse gets drafted out of this, but I also don't think it's going to be that surprising if the horse is dropped by March either. So and Kevin, no, we're not looking at. Again, we're looking at. I got a list of fillies that I'd like you to take a closer peek at. No, I am going to make a list, or I'm starting a list, and basically going to send it to Kevin just to make sure they're all colts. So do some double checking.
You know what's funny about it this year, though? Muhima, Good Cheer, Immersive. Hey, those are pretty good fillies you could take. Like, those 3 fillies have been just as impressive as most of the boys. So
I was gonna say, like, you look at the list of colts we have to work with, and I mean, it's a little more interesting this year, I guess, back with Baffert. But you're like, well, I mean, if you're just compiling the top 10 3-year-olds or 2-year-olds turning 3, I mean, tell me Immersive's not top 5,
Well, and like the physical presence of Muhima, that horse is a monster. Like that horse could be a colt easily. So I mean, you might think about it. I would think about Muhima if I was you. That's your horse.
I know. I listen again. I touted, or not touted, but I saw the horse, and so you had that connection.
Yeah.
No, listen, I think that could be our thing, Kevin. Like every year in the fantasy league, we starting last year,
right?
Moving forward, we make sure we draft a filly in every draft, and I mean, I'd feel a little bit better if it was the last pick versus
let me ask you this: if Muhima didn't run last week, pretend she didn't run, and she entered in this race that we're talking about,
I'd pick her.
Exactly. And what would she be? 3 to 5?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's what I think too.
Dude, if she ran in this race and she ran last week, I think she would still be 3 to 5.
I do too.
And I think I would probably still pick her. So listen, that's a very fair point. And you look at the trainer, and he's been. I mean, he's not. I don't say it's impossible that he would attempt to run. Her or one of them against the boys once at least to see,
I think that'll all depend on how his males are doing, but I agree. I don't think that's out of the realm. I don't think that's anything to think about right now, but will it happen in a world where they're doing unbelievably well this year? Yeah, I think it could.
And let's be honest, like, I mean, I proved it, although accidentally last year, that listen, you can take can get points. Like, I got more points my first round pick than a lot of the first round picks did last year. And it's just by a really good filly that goes and wins. I mean, you're only getting a couple points for the wins, but I mean, if you think that, you can at least say, hey, I think this horse is a lock to win too. I can use that pick in March to claim another horse, and it's cheaper, basically, So there are ways to look at it to where it doesn't, and if the horse turns out to be like Rachel, then or some sort of beast, then maybe you get a shot at one of these big races. So, But yeah, I don't think we'll be taking one in the first round, Kevin. But let's keep a list, right? Let's just keep a list. All right, so final pick here, Haltzman. You're going with number 3, correct?
Yep, I'll go with Speed King.
All right, give me the 11, the Okie Bread, to try to, I guess, pull off sort of an upset here. Number 11, Mr. Omaha. Oh, man. You got that race, and then you've got the field of 5 with 3 Bafferts in the Futurity. Although at least they're somewhat quality horses.
3 Bafferts, 2 maidens.
And a partridge in a pear tree. All right. Let's go to Los Alamitos on Saturday. This is race number 8, the Los Alamitos Futurity. It's a grade 2, 200K, 1 1/16 miles for 2-year-olds. And, the story goes, right, as we talked last week with Bob Baffert and the Philly side, who's won it every year the last 8 years. This time, Bob Baffert is looking for his 9th Futurity win in 11 years. So to say this guy has dominated these 2 races out at Los Al is an understatement. And lo and behold, we got a field of 5, Halterman, and 3 of them are Bob Baffert, including number 1 Gaming, your 2-5 favorite, last seen getting second in the juvenile last month, and a horse that looked like a winner the top of the stretch there, and obviously a very highly touted Pratt back aboard, deserving favorite, getaway car who also ran in that race at 3-1. So those are obviously your 3 contenders with rank. I'll add rank and journalism in there as well. So what do you think of this one?
Yeah, by the way, Tinma was able to win that race last week, so Baffert kept the streak going. Look, there's no chance I'm going against Gaming, because that's been the horse I've loved from the beginning, all the way back to the maiden special weight. He ran great in the Futurity. He ran great in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. And I think we both agree the major difference between Citizen Bull and Gaming is Citizen Bull had that 2-turn prep under his belt and Gaming didn't. And he just got a little tired. Now, here's the good news. I mean, you can't really bet this horse to win, but, to single him and stuff. Now this will be his 2nd race around 2 turns. We should see good improvement. We should see exactly kind of where he's at right now. He should run really, really well in this spot. And again, I'm not going against him. I've loved him from the start. Definitely not going to go against him now. And I think one critical thing that puts it, not that you need to have something to put you over the top here, Flavien Prat is coming back to ride. And I would imagine Flavien Prat was sitting there at the juvenile going, what in the hell was I thinking choosing this Chad Brown horse over this Baffert horse?
Yeah.
Maybe I could have won that
back of the pack.
Shit. So yeah, Pratt gets aboard. I thought that was a good sign. Look, there's no like great race cards that Pratt is missing or sacrificing being here, but still I do think it's a really good sign that not only is Pratt going to ride Gaming here, I think this is going to be his jockey for as long as they can keep him. And I think if the Gaming's as good as they think they'll keep him the whole time. So yeah, Gaming for me, I guess the discussion becomes who you want in second. I guess you try to beat one of the Bafferts, both the Bafferts left with journalism, the 5. That's kind of how I saw it. He ran pretty well last time. He's beaten the 2 maidens, Mellencamp and Rank. And then it'll just be a situation of can he catch getaway car? I don't know if he can or not, but you can't play Gaming over getaway car really and make much money. So try journalism in second.
You think Baffert gives Pratt a couple lashings for making that decision in the Breeders' Cup prior to hopping back on Gaming?
Yeah, I hope he does, and I think he deserves it. Flavien does. So,
by the way, Pratt having an historical good year this year,
yeah.
but he chose wrongly that day. Okay.
Well, and I think it was a situation. He'd only been on Gaming once. He had been on Chancer 3 times. Chancer had been a multiple graded stakes winner. Of course, Gaming is a graded stakes winner as well, but it's just one of those things. I think he kind of felt like he had to.
And to be very clear, it's not like, 1, he had IRAD on him, and 2, it's not like he got a bad ride. I thought Gaming, he ran exactly how you wanted him to run, just couldn't get to a stablemate who went gate to wire. And hey, by the way, like we mentioned in the last race, we mentioned trying to play the Dr. Rubin and Rank, who is in this race at 15-1, by the way, it will probably be up even way higher than that.
Yeah.
Got beat by Dr. Rubin by half a length, two back. And so if that tells you anything kind of about the quality, maybe how it compares, and it kind of goes back to the Rubin horse. But anyways, I'm with you. I love gaming. I think it was so evident that day that, hey, it's like if I had one more race under his belt, from someone that picked him, it's like I was winning that thing. He ran exactly, he just looked a little short compared to his stablemate who wasn't, and ran a winning race and just got second that day. But yeah, I think gaming is like, I love the position you're in as far as who you're going to pick, because you've got it all lined up now. Like, he's got that race under his belt. He's healthy. He's back. If he goes and wins like he, had won prior, and like I think you can kind of feel like rest assured, this is the horse I want. And like if he kind of shows a little bit similar, like let's just say for instance, like Getaway Car is your leader, right? That he takes the lead and takes this thing gate to wire, and gaming is having a hard time getting to him, then you might start to kind of be like, don't know if I love that, And so I think he's going to be able to tell you kind of what to do with him.
I was thrilled when I saw gaming entered, because in my mind, I still kind of think like what we've been talking about, gaming might be better than Citizen Bull. And, we just didn't see it on that day, but we might see it moving forward, where now what you said is totally accurate. If gaming wins by 5 lengths and does it under wraps, I'm going to take him. Yeah. And if he does what you just said, it's like, well, he won, but, or heaven forbid he loses, or he won, but it was half length ahead of Getaway Car. It's like, okay, I'll take Citizen Bull, so I would have hated neither one of them having a race after. And it's just like, oh boy, I'm going to take Citizen Bull. Gaming might be better. I think we'll have a pretty good idea after this race. Did he not stretch out well because it was his first time, or does he not really want to go a mile and 16th? With his pedigree, I don't see how that's going to be the case, but I think this race will kind of tell us.
Yeah, I'd be surprised. Like he's Getaway Car and him are no strangers, right? This is they've faced each other a couple times, and Dylan Futurity, gaming got the best of him, and it wasn't close. And then last out in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, gaming didn't win, but he did beat Getaway Car easily as well. So if there's any world, now I'll say this: like the last 2 races, Getaway Car didn't make the lead. Maybe in this case he does, and if he does, you always have that Baffert loose on the lead scenario that happens all the time, it feels like. And so that is a situation that could happen, especially in a 5-horse field. But I mean, again, there's really no excuses here. If gaming is the horse, I think gaming rolls here. And by the way, I think we're alluding to the fact of you maybe picking the horse number 1, and that should tell you, like, we're talking about drafting 55 horses and you're going to pick him number 1. And like, it's a year of Baffert. He's back. He's got horses. He can get points for this. Right. So gaming to me feels like could be the goods as we go down that road. Like, this could be that Bob Baffert's, like, quote unquote horse.
I think so. Yeah. And I think, the only pause you take with Baffert is, boy, he hasn't been able to keep any horse healthy, the last couple of years. So that's kind of the bad news. But you definitely, you put it, all things being equal, let's not think about injury, stuff like that. Gaming, Citizen Bull, those two, they look pretty darn good. And so, yeah, but gaming, the reason why I like him a little bit more than Citizen Bull, at least right now, I don't really think he needs the lead. I don't think, anything's really going to bother him. I think he's just a really solid horse that's going to have that stalking position. And if nobody goes, he's going to take the lead, but he's not going to get pressed, anything like that. And I just like him overall a little bit better than Citizen Bull. So, but yeah, I mean, these Baffert horses look the part so far.
Well, in the last future wager, Barnes did close as your horse favorite. The all others finished at 9-5. But as far as the horses go, Barnes was 13-1, Citizen Bull 16-1, Gaming 21-1. So out of the three, the Gaming was the highest price of those three, which is kind of insane to me.
Well,
That Barnes took all that money compared to Gaming and Citizen Bull, your juvenile winner.
you look at Gaming, he is kind of the forgotten horse
Yeah.
for a Baffert in terms of a Baffert runner. He was 2-1 on debut, which tells you that there wasn't a ton of buzz. Like usually when a Baffert with a buzz debuts, he's like 3-5, right? At Del Mar. He was 7-2 in the Del Mar Futurity. So people liked Citizen Bull and people liked Getaway car in that race. And then he was 6-1 in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. So usually with a Baffert horse with this kind of resume, you're seeing 6-5, 4-5 in all of his races. He's kind of the forgotten horse.
It's weird, right? Why is that?
I don't know the answer.
I mean, is it because like it started off with Getaway car seemed to be the horse?
Yep.
And then Citizen Bull seemed to be the horse, and you know what I mean? Like it just kind of feels like, and maybe the him getting injured or off like a little bit missing that race that hurt as well with him kind of being kind of forgotten, so to speak. But yeah, you're right. It's weird because I look at him when I look at those three we just mentioned. That's the one. Gaming is easily the one I'm most interested in.
Right. Yeah. No, me too. And I'm looking back at that maiden special weight race. Rank was 5-2 in that race. So people, they legitimately thought Rank had a real good chance to beat him,
Yeah. No. And Kevin, we're in a great spot because when you're like, I was telling Halterman, it's like earlier, it's like, when you have that 1-2 hole or, 1-2 spot, you kind of have to make that horse decision. You have to be, it has to be Gaming or Barnes, or it has to be Gaming or Citizen Bull, or those three, let's just say, like if you're top three, when you're kind of midway in the first round, as far as, you can kind of let it come to you where it's like, okay, listen, obviously I made a monstrous mistake last year picking a filly in the first round, but even more so that I don't like to talk about is I passed on Dornoch. Okay, when I came to my pick, I was between Dornoch and the first time Pletcher colt, which wasn't a Pletcher colt at all. But the point is, I passed on Dornoch, who obviously would have. I don't even want to think about it if I would have won. But point is, I should like that horse just fell to me, right? And the horse had already been like staked quality, and like I just didn't like the horse. I should have said, all right, let's just take it. Whatever. Like, and so sometimes you just let those horses fall to you. And so when we're in the 5th or 6th spot, can't remember what we got. It's like we can just, the decision can kind of, it's not, there's no pressure on that decision. So
right. I think you're right. Number one, I did that one year. I traded down because I was like, I know who's going to go 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I don't have any preference, so I'll just trade down, and whoever I get falls at 4, that's fine, and then I have a better draft pick for later rounds. But also, I was going to say, and I lost my train of thought because I was just thinking about the Barnes. We're talking about Barnes. So who did close as the future wager favorite, like you said, for a single horse entry. How far do you think he drops? When do you think he gets drafted?
Barnes?
Yeah, because it's not me. So he's not going to go number 1.
I mean, let's just look at the kind of the list here, and I'll just use the list of the top favorite or top horses that were in the future wager. But Barnes, East Avenue, Citizen Bull, Sovereignty, Chancer, Gaming, Patch Adams, Ferocious. Just some of the the names. So out of Jonathan's Way, I don't know if that, the point is, I think Barnes is top 5.
Yeah. So will he go number 2 to John and Ryan? Will they take Barnes, or will they go Citizen Bull?
Well, I think Gaming? If you take, I think Gaming, Citizen Bull are 1, 2. In whatever order,
Okay.
Because John's smart enough to you'll want to take one of those, unless Bob has texted him and been like, Barnes is the next Justify,
I think I'm not going to say that because I don't know for sure. But I think he likes Barnes, but I don't want to say that. I haven't actually talked to him one-on-one. So I'm not going to say that. But if he doesn't go 2, I don't think Magic Mike Show will take him at 3.
I could see them taking like an East Avenue or something like that.
Shoddy and Davy are 4, and she said they're not taking him. So you could take him at 5.
So Kevin, there's a legitimate chance that you and I could get Barnes or even Citizen Bull. Imagine Citizen Bull falling. I don't think I think the two ahead of us would more likely take Citizen Bull than, you know what I mean? Like, I would be shocked if he came into there.
I think Barnes is going to go 2nd or he's going to go 5th. That's my guess.
It's like in an NFL draft when one team like skips on a guy that seems like a sure thing and everyone starts like, what's wrong with him? Yeah, what's good? It's like next thing you know, he's in the 10 hole. So
yeah,
I don't know. Like, and this happened a couple years ago with me, and obviously it didn't work out, but because the horse was injured. What was the horse name?
Extra Neho.
Yes. Yeah. And I think I was riding on the same spot, 4, 5, 6, somewhere in there. And I traded to get one spot ahead of John and Ryan because I knew they were going to try to take Extra Neho. And my thought was like, well, listen, I either take some horse that I really don't feel that strongly about, or at least Extra Neho who has that upside, right? You know, obviously didn't work out, but I think in that situation, kind of like if Barnes were to follow us, we'd have to take him. There's no doubt. He's like 2nd in Vegas odds. He's 1st in the future wager. There's no way we're not taking him.
Yeah.
But you also go into that saying our 1st round pick might be worse than my 1st round pick last year. So, and we may never see him again. So there's that as well.
I think it'll be very interesting to see what they do at 2. And I don't know the answer. So I do think, they've heard some good things about Barnes. So, maybe he goes 2 right there. And then, depending on what gaming does, you have a situation where the Breeders' Cup juvenile winner may be available at 3 or gaming may be available at 3, so.
Yeah, being the juvenile winner, I think Magic or the Shoddy team would take him.
Yeah, I don't think you're getting.
So I think it's more likely that that at the 5 spot, we're getting Barnes or we're getting like East Avenue or something like that, that really sucks because you have to, it's like you said with gaming, you get that another look at them, right? East Avenue, it's like you're basically saying, hey, I hope that last race was just he didn't like the 1 spot, got, you know what I mean? Like, I hope that was the case because otherwise, we're in trouble.
Yep. Absolutely. And I think that's what makes it fun. I mean, these last races right before, they always get a little bit overanalyzed, because it's the fresh horses in your mind. I can't even think of the horse's name that won it last year for Baffert. Good Lord. Winstock. Like he went a lot higher than he ever would have because he won that race,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you don't name a horse after Jimmy Barnes if it's a horse that's supposed to be not very good.
Well, I mean, they named a horse after Frank Miramati, and he's not very good. I'm talking about the horse, not Frank.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Didn't always work out. They named a horse Standalone Dennis after Dennis Albaugh, and they ended up giving it away to me. Right. So I mean, and that was after the owner himself. So it's not a foolproof surface,
McKenzie turned out okay. So
well, yeah.
So it's hit or miss for sure.
You just never know. I mean, what it tells you is the horse was a very good looking, fast horse in the mornings. Or not in the mornings, but in training and leading up to going to Baffert, right?
Yeah,
that's what it tells you.
Okay, this is a better question, but you get game. Okay, gaming, Chancer, Sovereignty, Citizen Bull, East Avenue, and Barnes. Right, that's their top 6.
Okay,
which of those should not belong? I don't need the order. Just which one of those should not be in the top 5?
Chancer McPatrick.
Okay.
For me.
I agree mostly.
Yeah.
the other part of me says you got to think they're going to run this horse a bunch in all like the preps.
Yeah.
But because, yeah, like that's the thing. I don't know. I don't think he's very good though. Well, at least it's not a horse I think he can win the Kentucky Derby.
I don't think he's a 2-turn closing horse that can win a lot of races. I think around 1 turn, yes, but I think he kind of showed us he may just be a 1-turn closer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have it. And the other thing is, I think mentally he's kind of just weird because he just can't. He trains amazing in the morning as far as speed, and then he has no speed early in his races. So,
yeah. This is a good question because we are Arkansas guys, Oaklawn. Yeah. Who's Bob's Arkansas horse? And I know it's way too early to figure that out. If I was guessing right now, it would be the other one. It's Barnes and Gaming, and one of them stays out west, and one of them goes to Arkansas, and kind of depends on which one. Maybe Gaming is the Arkansas horse. Is kind of where I would lean.
I would put money on Gaming.
Okay,
being the Arkansas horse. Yeah.
It seems to be the way, especially if they view Barnes like I think the best one stays out west.
Usually, unless timing becomes an issue, that's kind of the idea of what they try to do.
Yeah.
Don't ever think that's 100% because timing does kind of dictate things as well. But yes, usually the best will stay out there. Also with Gaming, Pegram, they've shipped over here to Oaklawn so many times. So for me, it's just like I could just see those silks winning at Oaklawn. So I say Gaming.
Yeah, and I think Bob knows. I mean, he's done it so many times and done it successfully so many times where he knows that maybe the best one. And there's, like you said, timing. Like you look at the Farrow year with Dortmund. Farrow was timing. He was hurt. And he had come off the injury and the long layoff, and then timing wise, the Rebel made sense, and then he ran well there, so he just stayed at the Arkansas one. He had already had Dortmund out west, so it made sense. But there's always those instances, but. A lot of times its best ones like keep under my wings, keep here, then we'll ship out when we have to. Whereas, hey, Gaming isn't the best, but he's still really good and he can beat those chumps out in Arkansas. So, and it's a $10 million race or whatever it is now. So, like he knows what he's doing. And we've even seen shitty Bob Baffer horses come in and win.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that's the other thing. He definitely scouts out what's out there too. And sometimes he'll bring the level of horse that is needed to win against those horses. Right. Like, so if he needs to bring in the big one to go win it or the second biggest one to go win it, he'll go do it,
Right.
So yeah, I mean, it'll be about timing and it'll be about what Oaklawn's got there locally. And then they'll go from there.
All right. Well, lots to digest here. Again, we'll be live next week for Blinkers Off doing the aforementioned fantasy draft, and of course starting to find out who those top 55 horses will be, who the top 10 are, who the top 5 draft picks are. Stay tuned for that. But this is a look at the Los Al Futurity. We're both taking number 1, Gaming. So is Shoddy like 1 to 9 to be the first person to take a Japan horse in the fantasy league?
I would think so. Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, I think so.
I do think it's like, man, listen, 75% of your list is Japan, Shoddy, and she goes, shh. It's like, Shoddy, why would we care about the Japan horse after what we just saw? Like, it's not any big C. You could text me 20 of them. I'm not taking any of them. Like,
yeah.
Like,
yeah, exactly.
You don't have any big secret that people really want the answer to.
yeah. You might have a secret. We just don't want the answer.
Well, very good point. Yes, you have a secret, but you could say it out loud and nobody would listen. So it doesn't matter.
It's like I watched the episode the other day of The Office where he's like, he's like something about. He's like, I have announcements, and he's like, these aren't announcements. You're just stating, you're just saying things. He's like, they are, you just don't care about them. And it's like, okay, that's fair. It's like, They are. You just don't, So again, you might have it. We just don't care.
Oh gosh.
But no, I do think, and you might get right. You might get lucky and get one of these horses that goes and steals these points in Japan and maybe Dubai or whatever. But
Yeah.
like trying to figure that out is just.
I have no problem with her taking Japan, but it's just funny. I don't know. There's the aspect of don't tell anybody. And it's like, do you remember the breeders? Like, I don't think anybody's really excited about them. So that's what was funny to me about it. And look at Dennis playing chess when we're all playing checkers. If you could use them as trade bait if you knew them. See, so there you go. Draft and then trade her something she shouldn't trade for a Japanese horse. So Dennis is learning. I like this. Good start for Dennis.
It's his first year in the league, and he's already just kind of showing us how it's done. So
That's right.
Would you rather lose to the Dennis team, or the Shoddy team?
Would I rather lose to to Dennis? Yeah. Shoddy's a huge ride. I hope they finish last. Yeah.
Who was it? Who's on Dennis's team?
Vinny.
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, you got a seasoned pro there, so
yeah.
But I will want to. I'll be just here to tune in to see what those two claim each week. Because
I wish I was like I knew the argument between who's getting what. I think that will be fun for those two for sure, because both of them are very dialed in on it, and they're gonna have both of them. They never lack strong opinions, right? So when they have strong opinions on different horses, that's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, you could just see. It just depends on which one is gonna wear the pants as well. because if Vinny has one of his out of left field claim ideas, well, does Dennis have the stones to be like, no, we're not doing that, or will he just go along with it his first year? And so it's a team. This teamwork thing. We're gonna have to figure this out, Kevin, because I'm not used to answering to anybody.
I'll tell you what, the chemistry. I think the chemistry between you and Kevin will be fine. That's the one I'm least worried about.
Yeah, listen, when we met at Saratoga this last summer, it was basically you could just feel it, right? Just from the start, we knew lifelong friends at that point, and so I was on the fence about having him on the team, and then we met, and I was like, all right, this could work. This could work. We can make this work.
I will say this: I give Kevin a lot of credit, okay? Because the first time you met, it was great. Everything was great. The second time you saw him, you totally blew him off. So he got over that.
Oh yeah. Well, I think he understands why.
He said as much to me that he did understand what was happening. Yes. Actually, he didn't understand. He thought he understood. He's like, just to confirm, I was like, yes, what you're thinking is happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
that's
great.
Fair.
Leave him alone.
That's fair. And I appreciate that, Kevin. Listen, although listen, I mean, it didn't really pan out. So, I mean, it could have.
I was going to say, let's put it, how would I, looking back on it, would you rather spend the day with Kevin or doing what you were doing?
Oh, Kevin. 1,000, way less drama.
I set it up and you came through. I love that.
But listen, I had to see it through. Had to feel that one out.
Absolutely.
And listen, boys will be boys, as my partner says. So
hey, you got to let the boys play. That's what Baker's let the boys play. So,
but hey, bros before hoes.
That's right. That's a stronger bond.
All right, guys, that's all the time we have. Make sure you check us out at racingdudes.com for our free picks and those premium selections. Click the Get Racing Dudes premium button in the menu at racingdudes.com to learn more. Remember, go check out the best bets. I imagine with the playoffs coming up soon here with the NFL or both NFL, but the college football playoffs will have a lot of best bets available there as well. And speaking of, go check out Dude 2 Bet Sports as Halterman and his dad, Papa Dude, talk about all the college football and NFL action happening this weekend. Magic Mike show is on right now, I believe, right?
No, coming up in almost an hour.
Oh yeah, they moved it to 3. That's right.
Yeah.
3 o'clock. Till Magic Mike, stay tuned for the Magic Mike Show. We're on Twitter at @racing_dudes, Instagram and Facebook. You can find all episodes of Blinkers Off by visiting our podcast page on the website or just looking up Blinkers Off on Apple Podcasts or all the places you listen to podcasts. Go to youtube.com and search for Racing Dudes. Make sure you hit that subscribe, like, and notification button so you get alerted when we go live for these and all our videos coming out. Any final thoughts, Halterman, before we get out of here?
Can you settle, maybe not a debate, but just give your opinion on something just real quick?
Oh, I'd love to.
Does a plane crash count as a plane crash if it happens while you're on the ground?
Like it's on the on the runway still.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's a plane crash.
Okay. So Car Ramrod, 22 years ago, he says he was in a plane crash, and we're like, oh my God, you got to tell us this. And then he said, we skidded. It was icy, and we skid off the runway. And we were like, whoa, now hold on. That's a car wreck in a plane. But listen to this story. Listen to this. Exactly. He stole it. They were landing. The plane lands and then it skids. And then I said, okay, that's a plane crash.
But I mean, even you don't say like you were on a boat and you crashed and you say, well, I was in a car wreck. You'd say no. Oh, it's okay. Like, oh, you were in a car wreck? No, I was on a boat. Well, that's called a boat wreck. It's a boat crash. Oh, okay. Well, if you're on the plane, regardless if you're in the air or on the ground, now it's not fair to be like, hey, I was in a plane crash, and then just leave it. You got to have some sort of like you have to preface it with, hey, it was on the ground, although his situation does sound like more of a legit. I mean, if you crash while you're landing, that seems kind of serious, If you're just like running, reversing out of the run or the gate there, and you're just like the tire pops or something, then that's not really worthy of a plane crash.
Okay, all right. I agree. I thought since it happened during the, because you think about it yourself, like if you are on the runway and you're kind of getting ready to start to accelerate, and then you slide off of it, you're not in the air, right? And so yes, it's a serious situation, but both of them are serious. But it's like, okay, I know I'm not at least in the air, but I just feel like when you're landing, when those wheels hit the ground, you kind of have okay, we're on the ground. If the wheels hit the ground and then all of a sudden you start sliding and going crazy, you might think, shit, we're not on the ground. Like it bounced up or that wasn't the ground, and you still think you're in the air. I mean, I think it's a real plane crash.
When did this happen?
I don't know. He said 22 years ago. I don't know.
All right.
Here's what started it. Manlow started it. He said fumbled punts are like airplane crashes. We only think about them when they happen, but we don't think about all the times the punts don't get fumbled, right? Talk about receiving punts. And then Car Ramrod said, I remember when I was in a plane crash, and we stopped the whole show and we focused on that for a minute. And that's when all the facts came out. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair though, like I wouldn't, unless it was like when I'm on a plane, like unless like I don't worry at all, unless like the door pops off in the air, then I start to worry. Like turbulence or
right,
you have a hard landing or whatever, like it doesn't bother me. So
right.
I wouldn't be like getting off the plane and telling everybody, even like, I was in a plane crash, you won't believe it, So I wouldn't even think about it unless like you literally like. It's like a fiery crash or something. Well, January 25th, 2003. All right.
He said that they went into like some woods though. Like it slid bad. Again, if I was taking off, if I'm calling Heather and I said, hey, we took off, we slid off the runway. I don't think I would describe it as a plane crash. But if I said during the landing, we slid off the runway, I think it's classified as a plane crash. No question.
What airport was it at?
Now we're Googling.
Exactly. Yes.
Here's something I never thought I would Google. January. I kind of hope it turns out to be a lie, but let's see. Airplanes collision over Denver. There was an airplane on
You're the
January
airplane
25th.
guy, so you should know
Wow.
all this.
Wow. Oh, it was
Oh,
not a
not a
commercial plane.
commercial plane. Okay.
Well, who is this guy, by the way? Okay. All right. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's a plane crash.
Okay. All right. I agree. Dennis says 75% plane crash, and we kind of thought that's okay. You know. Yeah, private jet. We're starting to learn a lot about Carr. He may not be back after this, so. Okay, small jet, 14 people. My girlfriend at the time was rich.
My man. All right.
This is my favorite thing we've done in a long time on this show. I don't know why I like it. Should be your wife, buddy. Exactly.
All right.
Okay.
So I do have a question. I have another question for you.
Sure.
So the other night, I think it was Monday Night Football, right? Yeah. Was that like? I bet it was intense, Magic.
I would imagine. Yeah.
It was like very, they almost lost their lives that day.
Yeah.
And so like you had a lot of that adrenaline,
Yeah.
Hot.
Curtis says best segment since the dude got followed home by a demon. That's a whole nother story, but that did happen on our show as well, on the Dudes About Sports show. We're talking about ghosts or something. The guy was like, I stayed at a hotel and one followed me home, and I'm like, what the? I was like, are you kidding around? And no, he had like a whole thing. But anyway, go ahead.
Wow. Well, the question I have is like, I mean, is this normal, compared to this conversation? So don't you like? So the game the other night, against the Bengals game or the Cowboys or whatever, like the whole like punt block,
right,
and then recovered by being like basically Bengals got saved with that.
right.
Like to me, because it's the whole like illegal touching. If the kicking team touches it first, and then you have free reign to go after it, even if you muff it, it's you can do it without fear, right? But in that case, like to me, and I just feel like you block the punt.
Yeah,
you should be rewarded for you should be able to go after the ball without. To me, it's like if it's tipped at the punt, the ball you should have free reign to go grab it, even if it's not. Even if it like you muff it, like in that case, I don't know. Like it felt like it's so dirty, right? Because you're like you did everything right, you were celebrating, and then the guy muffs it, and then Cincinnati gets the ball back. So not only do they net gain yards, but then they get the ball back and go and win. So, anyways, I just thought I was thinking about that at the time. I was like, is there not a rule for that? And I was like, oh, it's because it's if the kicking team touches it, of course. But I don't know when you don't see that very often.
Yeah, because most teams are smart enough to go get away, except for the Cowboys who seem to do it over and over.
That poor guy. He was like new too. Like he was just elevated up and hadn't had a lot of time, and clearly. But part of me was like, damn, like I feel like they should have. Yeah, like someone should have been yelling at him something. Yeah. But it makes a lot of sense why it's like you see whenever there is some sort of tip, like you see everyone just scatter, right? No one goes for it because there's no point.
Yep. Like I said, it happened when they blocked a field goal one year. They went and touched it, and I think that was on Thanksgiving. Maybe that happened for the Cowboys. But anyway, that's been 100 years ago. But yeah, I mean, it's that's the rule, and like I said, when that happens, that's why you usually see everybody just kind of fan out, like get away.
Yeah.
But I mean and it was one of those things. It's kind of like a plane crash. You'd only would have remembered it if he fumbles it, right?
Well, and we saw it in the Super Bowl last year with the Chiefs when on a punt, the Chiefs had punted the guy. It hit off of one of his own players, like back heel. He thought, and so he went for it and he muffed it, and then the Chiefs got it back. And in that case, obviously he's going for it, thinking, "Hey, if I don't get it, it's a live ball, right?" And so I think a lot of times you assume, like and like with that guy, the kicker or the guy for the Cowboys probably thinking, hey, just go after it. It's a loose ball. But in reality, it's like, and again, maybe they don't even know it was completely tipped, and so there's a lot of things there from a new perspective, a new guy. Dude, some of these guys, when you there's like the line, there's some dumb athletes, man, like that do things in games where you're just like, how can you? Now, again, it's easy for me to say that. I'm not an athlete. I don't play in the NFL. It's completely fast paced. But sometimes you're just like, how are you thinking that would be that would have been a good idea to do? Whereas some guys think about 14 plays in advance,
Yeah. No, I know. I agree. And I think in the heat of the moment, it's always tougher. It's always just tougher to kind of keep your head about you as you're trying to do a million things at once. But yeah, I mean, more often than not, we see things like this happen, especially in the NFL. The NFL seems dumb every day. I feel like,
just
Yeah.
insane. And then, not to mention the penalties and like the like guy gets pissed and hits a
Right.
guy or whatever. And it's like, did you not think that was going to get called?
Right.
It's
Like, why did you do that? Yeah.
it's like, of course it's going to get called. Yeah. All right. That's any final thoughts before we head out here?
Nope, that's it. I just needed to know the plane crash, what your thoughts were. So thank you for weighing in.
Yeah, how about that? Did you see that?
Yes.
Kadarius Toney's already cut.
Yep.
Did you know this, Curtis? I know you're a fantasy guy. I saw on a podcast the other day, or they're listening. It was like out of, I don't remember how many. It's like 260, 230. I don't know how many. Like eligible wide receivers. He is in last place in points fantasy season because there's so many that have 0, but he has minus point something because of the muff fumble, and he's already cut. By the way, the two punts here last week, one was muffed, the other one he caught and then threw it at the other guy and got a penalty. He got an unsportsmanlike penalty for the other one, so he literally was negative on both. It's like, and then you're like, oh, remember when the Chiefs tried? Remember this guy when this guy won the Super Bowl with the Chiefs? It's just it's crazy how bad he is and was, and still managed to produce somewhat.
Yep.
That year for us, but yeah, part of me feels bad for him, but not really.
No, not if he's doing dumb shit like that.
Yeah. The unsportsmanlike was a doozy. It's like, how do you taunt? How do you get an unsportsmanlike? You caught a fair catch. That's all you did. It's all, you didn't make a great play. You didn't do anything. He literally caught it and then threw it at the guy. It's insane. But remember that time whenever he literally caused 3 interceptions for Mahomes.
Yep.
Literally got almost gave him to the other team.
Yep.
Throughout the year. It's like, how are you trying to do this?
Yep. I remember that very well. Yeah.
By the way, right now, Lions Bills would be my Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Although I do think the Bills are vulnerable. Lions, I just think the Lions are really freaking good.
Mm-hmm. I would agree.
Your Rams showed some ability, although they're just at their best. We'll see them tonight, I guess. But at their best, they're right up there with everybody,
Mm-hmm.
But they're just, I agree, Magic. They are vulnerable. The problem is, and you tell me if I'm wrong, but it helps because he's MVP and Josh Allen is elite. But they do play. He plays a little bit of a hero ball.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Where he tries to do everything he can, and
Totally.
and it works most of the time, right? Because he's Josh Allen. But I just feel like it's gonna get to him.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. I think the AFC is pretty wide open, honestly, because I do think they're vulnerable. Chiefs obviously are vulnerable. Pittsburgh, I just can't buy them making a run. So yeah, I mean it's definitely wide open. And then, like I said, the NFC doesn't seem wide open at current time. It's the Lions, right?
Yeah.
And then everybody else kind of playing catch up, I think, over there.
Don't you think it's interesting that I think that one of the issues we have with the Chiefs is that they're held to such a high standard after 2 years that anything short of spectacular is there's a problem. And I agree, they're not a great team. I'm not saying they're not, but my point being is look at 2 weeks ago when they barely beat the Panthers, right?
Yeah.
Like squeaked by. You might as well count that one as a loss as far as how it was reacted. Last week, the Eagles, who are what are they, like 11-2 or something, probably should have lost. Honestly, if the dude just catches the ball, it's a touchdown, they win the game. Carolina, you don't hear anything about it.
No.
Don't hear anything about it. They won. It's like you move on. Oh, and now it's like Carolina and Bryce, like they're playing really well now. Look at Adam Thielen and all this stuff. And so I do think there is an unfair, not really unfair, but I just think there is a bias that anything that the Chiefs do that's because they're not. I think everyone wants them to be like that team 3 years ago where they put up 60 points a game and air it out. That's just not who they are now.
You've never cheered for a team that wins a lot until this run. And I think what you're learning is what like Patriot fans learned when they were good, or Dallas fans back 100 years ago when they were good. And those teams that win a lot, everybody hates them, but the team's fan base. So they always are watching the Chiefs, hoping they lose, hoping they do something wrong, so they can make fun of them because they feel like. And Chiefs fans were like this when when the Broncos were really good for that run in like the late '90s. Like, oh, the Broncos lost today. It's like it helps us as Broncos fans. Let's say if you're a fan of the Broncos now, when the Chiefs lose, it makes us forget that we suck for a week and we can make fun of them. That's who the Chiefs are now.
Yeah,
and so that's a lot of the public. And that spills into even people that you see on TV every day. It spills into it, and that's why that narrative kind of gets skewed, right? Like when you just look at the teams as what they are, as a gambler does, like myself, you look at it and go, well, yeah, they're 12-1, and they could have lost 4 or 5 games, but they didn't lose those games. So you kind of know and understand, okay, I'm going to bet the point spread with the other team or whoever they're playing, but the Chiefs will win the game, and you just go from there. And at the end of the day, as a fan, if you're winning, that's all that really matters.
Yeah. No, I mean, listen, but the way that they're winning the games is just it's like stabbing the people and twisting at the same time, right? Because it's just the way they're winning these games, like the kicking it off the field goal and it still goes in, or blocking a field goal, or a guy's foot is on the barely on the line, or whatever. The Raiders game where the fumble, like just inexplicable fumble, the snap when he wasn't ready, just all this shit, man. That's just like it's amazing. But even I'm like, I don't know how this is happening. This keeps happening.
It's not going to continue. So what has to happen is they have to raise their level of play, which is exactly what they did in the playoffs last year, right? Like they were not a good team, and then they got in the playoffs and they were good. It's the same thing. They really should be about 9-5 or whatever, but they've gotten lucky and won these games. But it's still the same story. You're not going to luck out and win 3 playoff games in a row doing what they're doing. That's not going to happen. But who's to say they don't elevate their game again? And so I think that's what everybody's kind of waiting for. At least that's what I'm waiting for, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like again, like you have such a great comparison to last year because they were. I mean, we still have the rest of December to go, but their December last year was definitely worse than this year so far.
Definitely.
I mean, by far. Like they were a first round and done exit. Especially considering they had to. They got Miami at home, but they got to go to Buffalo and got to go to Baltimore. There's no way they're going to do that.
Right.
And especially, this team just got blasted by the Raiders on Christmas Day, like they were playing teams that they should have beat and they were just barely, similar things. I think the difference is when you got a head coach and you got Patrick Mahomes, they understand like, hey, this isn't going to work, So like you say, we raise it up, we raise up the level. Now, having said that, they're going to have to play. I mean, the Bills are really good. And they beat us once. And so I do think it'll be at home, likely that helps, but it depends on if they can I think the biggest situation for the Chiefs right now is it's not on the offensive side, although the offensive line is an issue. It's the defense that started to look vulnerable after. This is the first time in over almost probably 2 years where the defense hasn't looked like perfectly, like saving the day. That last year's storyline a lot of the times was the defense, right? This year, these last couple of games, they've been allowing points, and they don't have any sort of help on the back end at all. So that's the biggest concern.
Yep.
But
And I think, again, like I said, it's like they play at Cleveland this week, as you know, but they play at Cleveland this week, and it's another situation. They're in a game. Everybody thinks they should win by 2 touchdowns. I bet it's probably the same thing we've been seeing, And again, if you play, Ravens, Bills, whoever in the Super Bowl, you're not going to win all 3 doing that kind of stuff. It's not going to happen.
No.
I mean, they'll probably beat the Ravens. I mean, come on, but everybody else, no.
I think I do think the way Josh, he had 6 touchdowns last week. I played against him in fantasy. I know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and 3 of them were on the ground. I mean, it was insane with this. Like, he's like playing cheat codes out there.
Yep.
I think he deserves to be MVP as good as. I mean, if Saquon breaks the record, maybe they give it to him. But, yeah, he's playing insane level. But their defense isn't very good either. So, Buffalo's defense. So it'll be interesting to see. There's really no. I mean, I agree. It does go all through. We'll go through Arrowhead likely, but yeah, Hollywood's supposed to be back. Your boy Hollywood's supposed to be back, not this week, but next week possibly.
It's funny. Somebody was asking, who was that? Somebody was there. It is. What's up with Nyquist or Nysos? And then we mentioned Hollywood. They're the same. One's a horse and one's a human. They're coming back. They're coming back. They're gone. They're coming back. They're coming back. They're gone. So I wouldn't count on it. That would be a bonus if Hollywood made an impact for more than 2 games without getting hurt.
If part of you just says, hey, if he's back or if he's coming back, just save him until the first round, our first game of the playoffs, the divisional. Yeah. Don't just save him because we need to get as much out of him as we can, and we don't want to risk him getting hurt before those start.
Yeah. Well, and on the update on Nysos is he's gone again. I have no idea where he's at, what he's doing. The big talk was he's coming back. He'll be back for the Malibu. He hasn't worked in 60 days, so he's not doing that. So I don't know. Don't know. So there you go.
There we go. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Is he with Muth? Is Muth working?
I don't think Muth's working.
That's another one. He's another one on the list. So, yeah. I mean, yeah, Hollywood and Hopkins are the best wide receivers. Well, for sure. Since they've had Hill or since I'd say so. But the problem is Hopkins is old and Hollywood gets hurt. Although I will say Hopkins has looked awesome. When he's out there or he's still learning the system. But if you got to forget, or a lot of people forget, we don't have Rashee Rice, who was just absolutely tearing it up before he got hurt. Just if you had Rashee, Hollywood, Hopkins, and Xavier Worthy, who is starting to get a little bit better, it looks like, as far as his usage goes, it's like a little bit more when he does get the ball, he makes it work, makes it happen. Yeah, that's a pretty solid group. It's probably the best wide receiver. It's certainly better than it's certainly better than last year's. It's got to be.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah. But and Kelsey, that's the thing too. My prediction is Kelsey's retiring at the end of this year. So
yeah, I mean, I would if I was him.
Why would you not? Right?
Exactly. You could have a lot more fun not playing football and probably make as much money as big as his brand is. So,
dude, they sold. Would they sell it to? Was it Amazon? I think they sold the podcast. Whoever they sold it to, but they sold it for like $100 and some million. So
yeah.
And by the way, he's dating the biggest pop star in history.
Right.
So I don't think. Yeah, Noah Gray. I mean, Noah Gray's been playing well, so he definitely feels like that's definitely the thing. So
yep.
All right. That's gonna be a wrap, guys. I'm Jared Welch. He is Aaron Haltzman. Again, next week, guys. Next week is if there's ever a show that you want to watch live, if you watch these after the fact or whatever, if there's ever a show that you need to watch live, it's next week when we talk about when we do our fantasy draft. That's the one, guys. So make sure you tune in next week. Do you know what time is it going to be an evening show?
Yeah, 7:00 Central Time, PM, 7 p.m. Central.
7 p.m. Central will be the whatever annual dudes fantasy draft. So make sure you tune in for that to get the top 55 2-year-olds turning 3-year-olds as we get into Kentucky Derby season. All right, guys, I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Haltzman. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Blinkers Off. Join our horse racing community at racingdudes.com and follow us on Twitter at racing_dudes. Want to make money betting horses? Bet with the Racing Dudes.